1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in they Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters gon' move.
Say what's good out there. Y'all definitely be sure to like and subscribe so you will get that notification, and I'll pop right back up like I'm on a parole violation. If you're new to my page, in 1994 I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing right there on that intro. If you want to get that song, both versions are available on a 10-song EP, and you can get it directly from me by digital download. Hit me up on my Instagram, that's 16 to life, 16 DALIFE, or email me at 16tolifemusic@gmail.com, Cash App or Zelle me $20, and I'll get it to you ASAP, man. Now let's hop right up in today's video. So today I'm gonna be talking about, man, why black gangs in prison, gangs who oppose each other on the street, seemingly for the most part can get along in prison. And that's crazy, right? Because for a long time, I thought about that when I was in prison, right? You have some gang members from certain hoods on all prison yards in California who are notorious and historical enemies for years and years and years. And sometimes in these situations, there have been numerous kills on both sides of these gangs, right? And so these gangs beef so heavily on the street that when they see each other, it's on sight. You know, some, especially some particular members, you know, the members who are known as the shooters or the riders, right? But then they can come to prison. And when I say prison, I'm talking about prison, not necessarily county jail, because a lot of times in many county jails between the black gangs, the beef is still on and it's still running high, right? But when they get to prison, for the most part, at least the on-site physical beef is over. You know, you may have certain times when you have one gang member and something has been done to him, or something has been done to one of his homies or to his family or something that he's just not gonna forgive, and he's not gonna stand down on and stick to the what happens on the street stays on the street rule. But for the most part, all that stuff is left alone and put to the side, right? And like I said, I've seen individuals who are from two notorious gangs who historically have been beefing for a long time, be on the yard, be best of friends, going to chow together, walking to chow, playing basketball, chess, all that. Now, it's not like this between all gangs, but like I said, I have seen some individuals who become good friends with a person who is known as their op on the streets, right? And then, like I said, also for the elite, for the most part, at least these gangs, even the individuals who don't become good friends or whatever, at least they coexist on the same yard. And I've seen this from all up and down California, man, from whatever city you pick a city, and I've seen it, right? And so I guess the reason being, right, that there are bigger things in prison that are more important than the beef, right? And so for that reason, they put those things to the side, right? For whatever reason that may be, whether it's making money, whether it's having the program run smooth so people can go on their visits, whether it's to be able to get narcotics in, whatever it is, right? For the most part, that beef is put to the side, right? So of course, you know, you're gonna have an individual who's logical at some point in time. He gonna say, well, damn, you know, he gonna ask, if this beef can be put to the side in prison, where we are basically in close quarters and we have no option but to see each other and sometimes deal with each other, work together or whatever, because you may happen to have something that you need done, right? You may need to have your homie moved out of the cell with somebody, and the person who is either in control of those cell moves or he has a big part to play in them cell moves is going to be a convict who's a clerk, right? And so you may have to go get at him and say, hey man, I need my homie moved out of this cell, or I want him moved from this building to this building. Or, it may be a dude who works in the laundry and he's in charge of, getting the convicts fresh clothes. You have a lot of convicts in prison who like to dress well. Sometimes they like to dress well to be on the yard. And then you have some who like to dress well and go on visits. So whatever the case may be, a lot of times you may have a convict who is in charge of getting things done, right? And so these individuals can coexist and go talk and get the situation handled, right? And so, like I said, the question is going to be asked eventually by logical people. Well, if we are housed in these close quarters and pretty much forced to get along, why can't we get along on the streets when there is much more territory to cover? We don't have to be around each other. We don't have to see each other, right? And I was thinking about that. And I think one of the reasons is, first and foremost, on the streets, there is no respect. Respect is the most important thing. And for whatever reason, in prison, respect is basically what all prisons are ran on, regardless of where you're at. California, Chicago, it doesn't really matter. Texas, Georgia, without respect, there's going to be chaos, right? And so that's something that when you have individuals come to prison, a lot of times their homeboys will speak and teach them the importance of respect, right? And then another thing that I think is extremely important, and this may even be a bigger factor than respect, right? Once a person gets back on the street, because let me say this, right? I have been around individuals in prison who were notorious in their reputation and highly influential with their homies and other gang members in prison, right? And so in prison, they had pretty much turned a new leaf, or wasn't necessarily the same line pusher as far as the gang politics go in prison as they were on the street, right? They were well respected. They was well respected. And so in prison, they was doing good, and they had plans of going to the streets and trying to bring about a change in their community, and communities who was in close proximity to their community, and communities who they was beefing with and was at war with, right? And so, like I said, and I ran across several individuals like that. But when they go to the streets, after a while, you will ask, hey man, what's up with such and such? Oh man, he back out there gangbanging again. And I think the reason being is because on the streets, you have a lot of things to occur. You have a lot of situations and incidents that you don't have to deal with in prison that will automatically cause a person to become emotional and let his emotions sway him to do things that he had, tried to stop doing, or things that he had pledged to stop doing when he was in prison, And those things are, of course, shootings, funerals, homies getting disrespected, because I think, especially for gang members from my generation, like I said, a lot of us grew up in neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods was like family. We was a part of a family collective in a community. So of course, a person is gonna have an attachment to that, right? You're going to have a deep connection to that. And so when you come back to the streets, and now you may have done 15, 20 years, and now you see your homies' sons, you see nieces and nephews, young cousins or whatever, gang banging. And so you automatically, and most times, have a connection with this dude. Oh man, that's the homie's son. And then so he may happen to get shot, he may happen to get killed or whatever. And so now you are emotionally swayed, and it's easier to fall victim back to doing the things that you had tried not to do, because you're seeing the people that you care about hurt, disrespected, so on and so forth, right? And so I think that's a reason That's a big reason why, you can have individuals in prison be around their enemies, and once they get to the streets, they're right back into some negative activity that they swore to try to change when they wasn't around that type of stuff. Because like I said, in prison, respect is paramount. So you don't have a lot of disrespectful actions. You definitely don't have funerals and stuff in prison. Now from time to time, like I say, there are certain situations where you do have opposing gang members and they don't like each other, right? And certain situations will cause them to go at each other, and then a lot of times it'll get their collectives involved, right? And you have a melee on the yard or whatever. But in on the streets, there are more of these situations that cause people to hop back into the fray, if you will, become active again and stuff like that. And it's just a trip, because you think about, if a person can coexist with his enemy in a close space, confined quarters, once you get to the street and you can pretty much go anywhere that you want, it seems like you would be able to avoid the nonsense and miss the BS, right? But like I said, once again, it's those emotional connections, that happen, things that happen or go on in our neighborhood that cause us to lose sight of what's important, right? And we're back to gangbanging and doing things that will more than likely turn out negatively in the long run if we continue to do these things, right? So yeah, that was just something that I was thinking about. And actually somebody had asked me, why do you have gangs who oppose each other seemingly can do time together without any falling outs, and then once they hit the street, they're back to set tripping again, and the violence ensues. But anyway, that's just my opinion on that situation right there, man. You already know who it is. It's your boy 16 to Life. Resume normal program.